Welcome back to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY and upnorthsportsradio.com. Brought to us by BoyneGolf.com. Jerry Coyne, joined by my good friend Fred Altvader from the Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and American Golf Journals. And what is the TV channel?
Back
Back,
Nine Report TV on YouTube.
Back Nine Report. Yeah. Go look at mine first before you look at his. Fred, I wanted to get caught up. It's been a couple of weeks. You got the LPGA well, let's put it this way: parts of the LPGA Tour and parts of the PGA Tour visiting Michigan. Unfortunately, they are stopgaps in a schedule, and you just don't get a quality field.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Michigan, though, is very lucky. What was it? Just 6, 7 years ago, there were zero professional golf tournaments in Michigan. Now we've got three Epson Tour events, which they just ended last week up in Escanaba, 3 weeks in a row. They were in Battle Creek, then Boyne, and then Escanaba. And now we've got we had the Meyer Classic a couple of weeks ago down in Grand Rapids, the LPGA. Now they're up at Midland, and now we got the PGA Tour over in Detroit, and we're going to still have the Ally Challenge, the Champions Tour is coming over to Flint or Grand Blanc. So Michigan is very rich in professional tournaments, and right now we've got two in the state right now. But you're exactly right, Jerry. Especially the PGA Tour with their signature events and the big names playing those and the majors, and they don't play in the other stuff. And the Rocket Mortgage is not a signature event. So you're lucky to get a field that more resembles a Corn Ferry Tour event.
Yeah, we were just before we got on here, we were looking at the players that are playing in Detroit this week, and it's a better field than they really have had in the past few years. Even though J.J. Spawn dropped out, Tony Finau just drops out. They've got Colin Morikawa, Matt Fitzpatrick, Keegan Bradley, who is red
Captain
hot right
America.
now. Yeah, I mean Captain America. I don't know what to make of that win. Comes from three down with four to play. Do you think that Tommy Fleetwood's putt hit a spike mark or something?
That had nothing. That putt on 18 had nothing to do with it. He lost out on the front nine. He had four bogeys on the front nine.
I agree. He didn't.
Leaving
That
putt
was
short. He
not.
was leaving putt short, missing putts all day. He can't putt on Sunday.
No, he can't. And
He
he's one
was
of the best
drilling
putters.
putts
Yeah, and
Thursday,
he's
Friday, Saturday. He was drilling them, and he can't putt. He's too conservative, too antsy on Sunday. He's got to get over that. I know Butch Harmon's working with him on it, but he's not there yet.
well. I mean, absolutely right. He's made more money than any other player in PGA history without a win. He's like at $30 million.
Yeah.
Um, but and then we just brought up
Should
another
we feel
guy who
sorry for him because he doesn't have a win?
huh?
Should we feel sorry for him because he doesn't have a win in
Not at
America?
30
30
million.
million. He's got 7 wins on the World Tour, but not in America. So big deal. He's a big Ryder Cup star, which is more important to them anyhow, the Europeans. So he's having a pretty good career, even though he hasn't won in America.
Well, it's eerily similar to Colin Montgomery, isn't it?
I was just going to say the same thing. He's like a little Colin Montgomery. Yep.
Yeah. And a favorite of mine, Cameron Young, who's going to be playing in Michigan. He's been in a ton of top three, top five finishes. He can't get it across the line. This is, like you said before, this is a super elevated Corn Ferry event.
There are two guys that we were talking about earlier that I kind of like this week actually. Ashke Badia. This could be a really
Batia,
good course.
Ashke
Yeah,
Batia. Yeah, he could
could be a
play.
really good course for him. Yeah. And then who was the other guy I said was there that Ben Griffin.
Ben
Ben
Griffin,
Griffin's having a great year, and
great year.
he just bangs it out there, and there's no real trouble at Detroit Golf Club. Just banging out there, hitting on the green, and if he's making some putts, he could easily win too.
Well, the bunkers are not that easy. I mean, this course is super easy for these guys. Now, I played there a ton as a kid. They're shutting it down right after the tournament, and they're coming in and doing a complete renovation of the original 18. There's two 18s there. They use one of the holes from the easier South course. the North is an original Donald Ross, a classic that was obviously has reached a point where if you're going to have it as a championship course, you got to lengthen it, you got to take out some trees, you know the drill. And
Yeah, it's just not that difficult. And I was going to ask
no,
you, so if you're a betting guy, would you take the over under for 30 under this week?
have they gotten to 30? I don't think they have. Did
Yes, I'll
they?
tell you what they've got. It was last year was 18. Ricky Fowler 2 years ago was minus 24. Finau was minus 26. Cameron Davis was 18 and 21, and Shambo 23, and then Nate Lashley was 25 and 2019 the first year. So they haven't
Well,
quite got to 30 yet, but I would not bet against it this year.
well, like you said, Batia, there's a couple of guys. I think Griffin is already on the Ryder Cup tour. He's trending that way. It's starting to look like the American team is not going to be great. Like, are you going to put Brooks Koepka on this Ryder Cup team?
He hasn't impressed in anything he's played on the PGA Tour this year, that's for sure.
No. I mean, he
In the
had one good
majors,
round at Oakmont, and
DeChambeau is about the only one from the LIV that I'd be looking at if I were him.
I mean, who's scared? I mean, JT is playing better golf. You'd count on him.
Do you
Uh,
think JT is? I don't think he's in the top six yet, is he though? JT?
no, but he's good. He's played better golf. He was in the hunt at
Yes,
New England
yes.
last week, and he's finished
But
top.
triples and doubles up there in Connecticut where they were. What is going on? Rory and Scheffler and JT, they're making triples and doubles up there. I never saw anything like it in that place.
Yeah, Rory does not seem to care if he makes bogeys or doubles anymore. He's just like, I'm playing to make birdies no matter what, and the consequences be damned. I just got to make more birdies when I make a double. Yeah,
Well, I think Rory's kind of lost interest since he got his career Grand Slam. Since he
you
got his
know,
Masters, he just has lost interest right now.
I think he'll be pretty dialed in at Portrush next week or two
Could be,
weeks
and
from now.
also for the Ryder Cup. I look for him to be strong at the Ryder Cup because
You
that
know,
gets his
he's going
attention.
to be itching to play better. He did not make the cut when it was
Right,
there a couple
right.
years ago. You will not see that. I think you'll
What
see
about
vintage Rory, and you're right. It is a Ryder Cup year, so he'll have his ears pinned back.
what do you think about Shane Lowry? Can he repeat up there?
Lowry's had a pretty good year.
He has.
Yeah.
Hasn't won, but he's been right there several times.
Yeah, he did do a choke job, but came back. It's hard to tell what's going to happen over there. It's so weather dependent. It's going to be hard no
Yes,
matter what.
yes.
Um, but you brought up a topic that we haven't touched on is so Jay Monahan is stepping down. Do you think he's kind of being forced out or he's had it? He's not that old.
No, his contract is up next year, 10 years,
Okay.
2026. And so he told them earlier in the year that he's going to fill out his contract and he's done. So that's why they went out and found this guy. Tiger was on the committee, Arthur Blank, a couple other guys, and Adam Scott, and a couple other guys were on the committee, and they found this guy who's been with the NFL for about 20 years in
Yeah.
marketing. And so the big deal is though here, Jerry, is that they've realized they're not a sports league anymore. With this $1.5 billion investment from the Strategic Sports Group, Arthur Blank's group, and the Fenway Group, they're now more like a real corporation. And this guy is a CEO. He's not a commissioner now. He's a CEO.
Right.
Okay. And so Jay is going to gradually hand over the day-to-day operations to him over the next few months, over the next year, and then just next year, just really concentrate on being a member of the Players Advisory Committee and the board and that kind of thing before he steps down at the end of 26. So, Jerry, I know a lot of people on social media, a lot of people in the media have really lambasted Jay Monahan, and I never did. I've been in a position of running companies in the past, and sometimes stuff just jumps up to bite you. You just don't expect. You try to
Yeah.
plan for everything, but sometimes something comes out of left field. He was there during COVID. The PGA Tour was one of the first leagues to get back up and running and get their guys back out
It
there.
was the
Uh,
first league really that came back on. Yeah,
exactly. And he did a great job managing them through that.
I
Okay.
agree.
And then the live thing pops up. And where did that come from? Who expected that? And so rather than a knee jerk reaction and say, we got to do this, we got to do that. No, he took the longer plan. They invested in DP World Tour so the LIV couldn't make a foothold on that and kept them afloat during COVID. They got their signature events lined up so they could pay the guys more money. They're paying 30% more on the PGA Tour than they ever were, and they're still giving millions of dollars to charity. How many dollars has Liv given to charity in their events every year? Zero. Okay. So
I think they give everybody a discount gas card the week they're in town.
yeah, just to show up. Uh, but no, I applaud Jay Monahan. I know he took a lot of heat. It really suffered a kind of a little breakdown. Actually, he had to take a couple months off and go home and just get away from it for a little bit because of all the crap he was taking and all the stress that was going on. But I applaud him for what he's done. No other commissioner, Fincham or Dean Beeman, have had the trials and tribulations that Jay Monahan had. And when he
That's
came in,
100%
Fincham had the
true.
thing in pretty good shape. They got $500 million in the bank. They got all kinds of sponsors. They got a line for sponsors to come in, the waiting list. And Monahan goes, oh, this is an easy job. Well, it didn't turn out quite that way.
Well, very quickly, because we're running out of time, they do have a couple of issues they're going to have to get, and that's why they got this marketing guru from the NFL, because they're going to have to deal with the guys like Rocket Mortgage and some of these other events that don't get the name recognition. That Jim Nantz isn't going to come out and do their broadcast, and they get short skirted. There's a lot of talk that Rocket Mortgage is not coming back. So they have one. I believe this is. They got one more year left on their deal with the PGA Tour, and Dan Gilbert is not well. There's a lot of things at play here. Maybe they
Let
can
me
find another.
let me ask you a quick question. So if you're putting up $20 million to sponsor a PGA Tour event and you're getting 30% less eyeballs than you used to get, are you too excited about putting another 20 million up?
It all depends on how much it means to Michigan and Detroit. There's a lot of things at play, Fred. They wanted to bring an event into the city of Detroit and highlight, youth golf in the city and everything else. They've accomplished those things. Maybe they think they're done. Maybe they don't. Maybe this marketing guy can pull some rabbits out of their hat. There's a lot of things at play for just the Michigan portion of the PGA Tour. But we'll keep our eyeballs on it and check in with you in the next couple of weeks after the event.
Well, Toledo went through the kind of same thing. They've had an LPGA event there since 1984, and this year it's a Epson Tour Legend Tour combined event
Yeah.
because he couldn't get the sponsors lined up to have a full LPGA Tour event. So it's tough. It is really tough.
It's money, money, money. That's going to do it for us here on Finding Fairways. As we like to say, find a fairway of your own, stick a peg in the ground, and pound it down the middle. We'll be back next week here on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by pxggolf.com. Hold on, I'm going
Fantastic.
to record one that doesn't finalize it.